Hi everyone, my name is Kimia Andrew and I'm the pattern tutor. So for today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a simple jacket pattern. So I'm going to use my basic block, the one that I've made in previous videos, to create this pattern. Now I'm super excited to show you how I do this. I use this process to create some of my most simplified jackets. If you want a more elaborate pattern, this isn't it. You might have to do a little bit more research, read books. I just want to show you how I use my basic block, convert it and create a jacket for women's wear. I'm also going to show you how you can take your basic sleeve block, convert it to fit your jacket, and then create a two-piece jacket block. This two-piece jacket sleeve is one that I actually learned on YouTube. I went back, before I made this video, I went back to see if I can find the particular video that I learned that on, and I didn't. So if I did, I would have just dropped the link as well. But yeah, so I'm going to show you how I create my simple two-piece jacket sleeve. I'm going to also show you how to draft a notch collar. Now I know that a shawl collar is like pretty simple, so that's why I'm choosing to do a notch collar this time around. So yeah, I'm super excited to have you watch these videos. Make sure to just pay close attention, and yeah, let's get into it.
Starting off, I have my basic bodice block front and back, as well as my sleeve as part of my tools. I also have my trusty ruler, my pattern master, and my measuring tape, as well as my pen. So as usual, I'm going to start by drawing out my margin line. So I'm going to use 5 cm as usual. That's what I'm using as my margin line, and I'll draw that down the length of my paper. Now let's alter a block. I'm starting with the back of my pattern. First, you're going to trace out your block. You're going to trace from the neck to your first dart leg. Now the trick is to move your shoulder dart to your armhole. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pivot my shoulder dart to my armhole to give myself more room at the armhole. Now after tracing out my block, I'm going to mark out all my lines. So this includes my bust line, my back width line, as well as my darts. Next, I'm going to extend my pattern to my hip line. So for me, it is a 21 cm measurement. So from the waistline at the side seam, I'll mark down 21 cm and then square out from the center back line to create my hip line. On my hip line, I'm going to mark quarter of my hip measurement. So my hip measurement is 104 cm. Divided by 4, I get 25.5 cm. So I mark 25.5 cm and then connect that to the waistline to complete my side seam. I'll extend my dart. The dart extension is going to be 15 cm at the back, so I'm taking a measurement that's 15 cm and then connect that to my waist dart legs to complete my diamond shaped dart. Now all I've done so far is to pivot my shoulder dart to the armhole and extend my bodice block to the hip line. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to now convert this pattern into my jacket pattern. I'll start by raising my shoulder by 1.5 cm and elongating the shoulder by another 1.5 cm. I'll connect this extension back to my shoulder neck point. On the side seam, I'm dropping my armhole by 1.5 cm and adding more ease of 2 cm. So I'm basically making my pattern bigger by an extra 2 cm and dropping my armhole by 1.5 cm. I'll be connecting the new shoulder tip to the new armhole under arm point. On the side seam, I'm going to add all that 2 cm all the way down to the hem. I don't know if I've done this enough times already, but always blend any sharp corners that you have on your pattern. Always. Now we'll still have our back shaping. So at the waistline, center back, I'm going to mark my 1.5 cm, but I'll be connecting that to my back width line. Then from the waistline, measure down 10 cm and connect the back shaping down to that 10 cm with a nice smooth curve. And as easy as it might sound, I'm done with my back pattern. Now what I'm left to do is to draw out my grain line and add sewing allowances all around my pattern. One final thing before I'm done with my back pattern, I'm going to take my back neckline measurement. So when I measured my back neckline measurement, it was 7.5 cm. So just keep that in mind, keep this aside, because we'll be using it on the front of our pattern. I'll also need to take my back shoulder length measurement so that I can compare it with the front and make sure that they balance. Now for the front of my jacket, I'm also going to start by tracing out my block. Now when tracing out this block, I'm going to move my shoulder dart to two different positions. So I'm moving half to the middle of my neckline and the other half to my armhole. For those who might find pivoting a bit tricky, you can just go ahead and slash and close, as well as open whatever positions you need to move the darts to. Either way, you're just going to get the same results. I'll go ahead and draw out my line. So I'm drawing out my bust point line as well as drawing out my darts. And the reason why my darts are not getting all the way to the bust point line is because I dropped and lifted them by 2 cm. So you can do that so that when you're sewing your darts, it doesn't get all the way to the bust point. Next, I'll extend my block. So I start by extending my center front line, and then at the side I'll measure down from my waist to hip measurement and draw out my hip depth line. So from that position is where I'm going to mark cutter of my hip measurement, which as earlier stated is 25.5 cm. I'll mark that and then connect it back to the waistline with a curved ruler so that I can have my completed side seam. Don't forget to extend your front dart. So I'll extend my line. My front dart is 13 cm, so I'm going to extend the line by an extra 13 cm, then connect back to my dart legs at the waistline and have my completed diamond shaped dart. Now let's open up our pattern to give us a jacket fit. We'll start with our neckline. So at my neck base, I'm going to drop it by 0.5 cm and blend back to my neckline. Then for the shoulder, I'll do the same thing that I did at the back. So raise my shoulder tip by 1.5 cm and extend my shoulder by 1.5 cm as well. Then I'll connect back to my shoulder neck point. At the side seam, I'll be adding an extra ease of 2 cm as well and dropping my armhole by 1.5 cm. Then using my armhole curve, I will connect the new shoulder tip with my new underarm point. Add all that 2 cm along the side seam all the way down to the hem. Now the next group of additions I'm going to make into my jacket are my button stand, my lapel, as well as my collar. Now let's mark out some specific points on our pattern. So for my button stand, I'm going to mark 3 cm. So this 3 cm is a standard. You can make it more depending on what kind of button stand you want. Now the point where I start marking my button stand is where my break point is going to happen. My break point is basically where my lapel folds over, and this is, I'm using my waistline for that. So my waistline is where my break point is going to be. It's going to basically look something like this, and that's going to be where my break point is. Then at my neckline, I'm going to mark a 2.5 cm measurement from my shoulder neck point. This measurement basically serves as my collar stand. So that fold that happens when your collar folds, that's that 2.5 cm there. Next, I'm going to mark out my roll line. So basically, my roll line is where my lapel folds over on the jacket. So it's me marking a line from my 2.5 cm down to my break point. This is a broken line because it's a guide. It's with this broken line that I'm going to be able to draft my lapel. Now to plot my lapel. So I'm going to plot my lapel on the body of my jacket so that I can see what it will look like. If I'm happy with it, then I can go ahead and make it like a full pattern. But if I'm not, I can make adjustments before I go ahead. So on my fold line, I'm going to fold over the broken line, fold the paper, and then trace out my neckline like this. After tracing out my neckline, I'm going to use my pen to just draw out whatever I've traced so that I can see what I'm working with. Now, following the traced out neckline, I'm going to draw a straight line. This line will later become my lapel. Now, from my neck base here, I'm going to mark what we call a gorge. A gorge is basically the seam that connects the lapel to the collar. I'm using 5 cm for my gorge, but you can use 2.5 cm and above. Then I've also marked my lapel length. I'm using 10 cm for that. I've marked that on the broken line, and then from that 10 cm, connect back to your break point and create your lapel. So this is my lapel. Now, from the tip of my lapel, mark up 3 cm and connect that to the gorge notch. So basically this is going to be the space between my lapel and my collar. I'm just drawing out a line just to see what my collar would look like if this was like a sewn garment. So you can decide at this point if this space is okay for you. This notch, this is where we get the term notch collar. So if this notch is okay for you, you can go ahead and leave it. If it's not, you can make adjustments at this point, but for me it's fine and I'm good. So I'm going to move on to the next step. Now my next step is to connect my lapel to my button stand. So I'm going to fold over again at the roll line and trace out my lapel. So I'm tracing out the entirety of the lapel onto the other side of my pattern, of my paper. Make sure to transfer the notch, that's the point where your gorge and your collar meets. Make sure to transfer that. Now after tracing, I'm going to draw out my line. Now starting with my lapel, I'm going to draw it out with a broken line first as a straight line, but most times your lapel isn't a straight line, so we're going to complete that as a curve. I'll also draw out the top of my lapel. So using my hip cuff, I will draw out my lapel completed with a slight curve. So it's not going to be a straight line, it's going to end as a slight curve. Don't forget to mark out the notch, that is the point where my lapel and my collar meets. So my lapel is done. I'm going to move on to drafting my collar. To draft our collar, I'm going to start by squaring a line from the shoulder neck point. That is the measurement of our back neckline. So remember, we took the measurement of our back neckline, which was 7.5 cm. So using my shoulder slope, I'll square that line from the shoulder neck point, 7.5 cm. And at the top of that 7.5 cm, you would also square out 1.5 cm. Then using a curved ruler, I'm going to connect from that 1.5 cm, connect with a curve that would imitate our back neckline in a way, connect that back to the shoulder neck point. I'm just using a slightly more deeper curve because I didn't really like what that other curve looked like. Now you square a line from the tip of that curve that would be extended as our collar. So my collar is going to be, I'm going to mark my 2.5 cm collar stand, and then I'll extend by 6 cm, extra 6 cm, so my total collar is 8.5 cm. I'll mark the 8.5 cm as well at the SMP so that I can connect from my collar to that SMP point to have like a smooth curve. Next, to complete my collar, I'm going to mark the 3.5 cm notch from the lapel and connect that back to my gorge, and then using a curve I will complete my collar edge. Now my collar is complete, so I'm just going to mark my center back, which is the center back of my collar. I'll definitely be tracing out my collar because I'm not cutting that together with my bodice, right? So my collar is going to be traced out and the center back is going to be cut on a fold. I'm just marking that. I'll also mark out my grain line on the front. Even though I have my center front line still visible, I'm still going to mark my grain line as well. And that is my front pattern. This is basically what my pattern will look like. The next set of videos will include working on my lining and tracing out all the pieces so that you can see what they look like, as well as drafting the pattern for my two-piece sleeve.
Thank you for watching the video. I'm sure you've learned something new if you've done this before. If you haven't, I hope this process was as simplified as I tried to make it. I know that there are other ways of making jacket, but I just had to show you this since it's a bit more simplified for me. I hope we were able to get a lot of knowledge from this. Yeah, make sure you drop your comments in the comment section. Any questions you have, please drop in the comment section. Make sure to like, comment, share to someone that you know would need this video. Subscribe if you haven't, and yeah, follow me on Instagram at the Pattern Tutor or at Kim Andrew on IG as well. You can also send me messages on there. I am ever willing to reply. Thank you so much. See you on the next one, and